All right, we'll call the meeting to order. If everybody will stand with me, I'll ask the sheriff, if he don't mind, to open this up with prayer.
Let's start here, please. Lord, as we come before tonight, we just come before you, Lord, and just want to thank you for your grace and mercy that you give us each and every day. Lord God, we just pray that as we conduct the meeting tonight, Lord, we all realize that we are here to edify your name, we glorify your name in all things that we do, in our manners and our actions, Lord. Lord, we pray that we would express the feelings we need to express, Lord, that we'd keep it civil, Lord, and that we would be respectful, Lord, to each other and to you. God, we pray for the town of Andrews as they conduct business, Lord, that they would be wise in their decisions and their decision-making. We ask these things in blessed, wonderful, and holy name. Amen.
Amen.
While you're standing, let's say the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Y'all did a great job. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Guess first of all, we'll get the amendments to the agenda. Anybody have any amendments we need to make? Entertain a motion to approve the agenda as is.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as is.
Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of March 9th, 2021's meeting. If you've had a chance to look over those.
You gotta approve the agenda.
Oh, on the agenda, all in favor?
I'll second.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes of March 9th, 2021 meeting.
I make a motion for the approval of the minutes from March 9th, 2021.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Reports. The library, the chamber, do you want to give a report?
Sure.
Okay, chamber. We got a big event coming up this weekend.
All right. Spring Fling is this weekend. We have 44 vendors taking up, we go almost all the way to Walnut, because I have put 6 feet in between the different vendors, just for spacing, so that if we do have a crowd, they can go to the different booths and it'll be socially distanced. So it should be really good. We've got good music that's going to be there from 12 to 2 and 3:30 to 5:30. The Hawks Nest Indians are going to be here doing storytelling, drum circles, candy dance. So I encourage everybody to come out and enjoy the weekend. A lot of people have asked me, it's a 100% chance of rain right now, according to the Weather Channel. Well, this is the mountains, and you know how it is. So I'm not going to call anything until the morning of. If it's really pouring down and lightning and thunder, of course, we're not going to have the event. But other than that, a little bit of drizzle has not deferred us in the past. So we're looking forward to blocking off the streets. If you guys could just make sure that the bears are out there on Friday. I have people who are going to help me get them out in the morning. You don't need to have
Okay.
one of your people do that. Just, you know, if you could just put them where you normally do.
I spoke with
everything.
Tony today, and he said he would definitely do that. We'll
That's
have them in
fine, but
place.
you don't have to have somebody on Saturday do it.
Okay.
We'll take care of it. I just wanted to let you know that.
Sounds great.
So,
All right.
any questions for me?
No, how about the garbage pickup and the
Yes.
ceremony on this?
We have, at 1:30, we are dedicating a bench to Gary Chamberlain for all of his litter good deeds that he's done and in memory of him. And at 2 o'clock, we hope that we get a lot of volunteers that'll come and then just spread out around Andrews and do trash pickup. Business 19 is an ideal spot for picking up trash. The chamber is offering to the group that picks up the most bags of trash that we will give $100 to that group. That's what they were doing before. You know, if you picked up 10 bags, you know, Gary had groups of businesses that would donate $100 for those people. But we're not gonna restrict it to, you know, whoever does 10. We wanna make it kind of a contest.
All right. I think Tim Rafford's gonna come and pick up with me this
That's
Sunday.
Sunday, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
I'll be
Sunday.
there.
Yeah.
That's at 2:00. I did pick up a few vests and some gloves at the DOT today, and of course bags. If people are on the back streets and picking up trash, just make sure that when you leave them on one of the state roads, and then and they will just come and pick them up. We won't have to call them or anything else. So
I also asked Tony to get with the director of Murphy, and I think they're gonna loan us their street sweeper, so we'll get all the streets swept and clean good before the event on Saturday,
I appreciate
just to make it look better.
We appreciate everything you do.
Well, we appreciate y'all, 100% appreciate you putting this event together.
Yep, it's gonna be good.
All right, very good. Any other reports? Got a county commissioner here. I'd like to thank him and the other county commissioners for helping us with the new park that we're putting up at the rec center, or the rec park down here. I think we're right around $90,000 that we've got raised for it. And I'd like to thank Sarah Tatham. She was coming tonight to give a report. I told her it might be better to hold off till the next meeting, because we had a few people gonna show up tonight. So, she'll give a report on the playground, and we'll have it installed by late summer or early fall. It's gonna sit in between the swimming pool, the softball field, and the Little League field. So we're excited about that. And also next month on Memorial Day, we're gonna have the car show, the annual car show, and looking forward to that. And I think the wrestlers are gonna come out and be set up in the parking lot too, but they're shooting for 200 cars for the car show. So if anybody has any to put in, we'd very much appreciate it. All right. Any more reports? New business. Update on Jones Road closure.
I have prepared a resolution for the closure of Jones Street in Andrews, North Carolina. If I could read that to the board, and then you could choose to adopt that today if you so wish to.
Okay.
Whereas a certain street designated as Jones Street connecting Colvert Avenue and Temple Street within the city limits of Andrews no longer serves the needs of the town of Andrews nor its citizens and is detrimental to the public interest. Whereas North Carolina General Statute 160A-299 provides for procedures for the permanent closure of streets and alleys. Wherefore it is hereby resolved by the Andrews Board of Aldermen of its intent to permanently close Jones Street located between Colvert Avenue and Temple Street. It is hereby resolved and ordered as follows: that the town clerk, pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 160A-299, cause this resolution to be published in the Cherokee Scout, a newspaper of common publication serving the town of Andrews, North Carolina, for 4 successive weeks, announcing a public hearing to be held on June the 8th, 2021, which would be the date for the board meeting in June,
Okay.
on that second Tuesday of that month. That the town clerk send a copy of this resolution via certified or registered mail to all owners of property adjoining Jones Street as shown by the tax records of Cherokee County. That the town clerk mail a copy of this resolution to the North Carolina Department of Transportation. That the town administrator shall cause a copy of this resolution to be posted conspicuously at the intersection of Jones Street and Colvert Avenue, at the intersection of Jones Street and Temple Street, no later than 4 weeks before the hearing on June the 8th, 2021. That the town clerk place a public hearing for consideration of the closure of Jones Street on the agenda for the regularly scheduled meeting of the Andrews Board of Aldermen on June the 8th, 2021.
Very good. And I'd like to discuss a little bit. I've had a couple of the property owners that live on Jones Street. They came to me, and I think the sheriff and obviously any law enforcement can tell you, we've got a problem up on Temple Street, and there's a lot of traffic that's going through there, non-desirable traffic, and the road is pretty dilapidated. So the property owners are wanting to close it off, divide off the property and fence it in so they can stop some of the foot traffic in through there. So that's where we're at. So do we need to vote on that resolution?
I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Utility releases.
The one that we have for utility releases is for Foursquare. They had a major leak that they now have corrected. It's over $1,000, so the board has to approve before we can write that bill off.
Entertain a motion to release that.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
And then the tax releases, you have a page of them there. The county has already released these. They've been released by them, so
Yeah. Entertain a motion to release the taxes in the budget.
I'll make a motion to release the tax.
Have a motion, do we have a second? All in favor? Very good. Discussion, we won't go into this in too much detail tonight, but I'm wanting to set up a rec park committee. I know when Ray Frazier was rec park director, I was on the rec park committee, and I think that's something we have to go back to if we're trying to get the Part F grants to refurbish the pool. Ray, are you here?
I'm partially here.
Partially here. Is that true that you have to have a rec park committee in order to go after the Part F? I know y'all went after the Part F 4 years ago.
It was at that time. I don't know whether they changed the regulations or not.
Okay, okay,
They're notorious for changing things.
okay. So anybody that would be interested in being on a rec park committee, please get with Town Hall and let us know if you have any interest in recreation, because we'd like to get that up and running as quickly as possible. All right, next on the agenda, did anybody else have any discussion on rec park committee? Next on the agenda is budget meetings updates. When are we gonna try to set up budget meetings?
yeah. Well, at our next meeting, we'd like to present a preliminary budget and then set up a meeting on May 25th if anybody has any changes or suggestion, and then adopt our budget at the June 8th meeting. So that would be one additional meeting on May 25th.
Okay. We need a motion in that form to organize it?
You can approve that.
Yeah. Entertain a motion that we have a May 25th meeting for the budget.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next on the agenda is budget amendments.
We only have one budget amendment. We are opening the pool this year on June 1st, so we need to move some money. The streets, salary and wages are down since we don't have a full-time person there, so I moved from their salary and wages into, for the month of May and June, to get ready for the pool, so to the pool, $20,000.
And we did partner last year with Snowbird Wilderness Outfitters, and they really helped us out because we couldn't afford to open the pool on our own. And we were able to get it open a few days a week. This year, we're gonna go back at it, at least be open 5 days a week, so we will be taking applications for lifeguards. I think we already have our pool manager and a couple of them from last year in place for this year. Entertain a motion for the budget amendment.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, I did not have a sheet for public comment to come up, so if you just raise your hand, I'll call on you one at a time. Go ahead, just come up to the podium.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing good, how you, Warren?
Got a few things we need to find out what's going on. Can't get head to tail of what's going on with these outstanding gentlemen over here, but I would like to thank them for what they have done with cleaning up the town of Andrews. I don't know, a lot of people don't see it, but a lot of business owners do. You don't have the backpackers hardly anymore. The drug and crime rate is going down. Can we get an insight on kind of what's going on with that?
We are not allowed to compromise, comment on the investigation whatsoever. We cannot say a word on what's going on,
Okay.
but, as soon as we know something, we'll let y'all know.
Well, as a citizen and a business owner in Andrews, I feel if we don't have a police department, they're gonna start going after other things, and then there will not be an Andrews anymore.
I agree with that.
And, they done an outstanding job cleaning up this town, so.
I agree with that.
I'm here to support the Andrews PD.
Yeah, you welcome to come.
I'm Angela Callahan. I'm the owner of Grandpa Charlie's. We moved here back in 2019. I have seen every single one of these guys that are standing up here that has done a phenomenal job. When Chief Hopgood resigned last year, I watched this city, from the time that I lived here, in 3 weeks, go down drastically. I watched a lot of people, because when I closed between 10 and 11:30 at night, I watched a lot of these backpackers walking through my parking lot, 4 o'clock in the morning. My alarm on my camera on the back was going off, and I was going to my restaurant to go up there to check to see what was going on. Since, I want to say the last 3 to 4 months, since certain people have been on staff, I have seen a decrease in these backpackers walking around. These people, I have seen one in particular, they're great for the community. One in particular has actually, I've seen pick up a pregnant girl that was walking home and take her home, so that way she wouldn't have to walk all the way. They interact with all of these kids. They check to make sure that the kids are doing okay. I have personally sat here and watched these guys, one in particular, a couple in particular actually, develop relationships to make sure and check up on these kids and make sure that they're doing okay. They're taking an interest in our kids. I have 5 kids, my youngest being 5 years of age, and these kids need that. They need someone to look forward to, look up to, and these guys provide that for them. Like I said, I have seen them all, as far as the crime rates, the backpackers walking around, I have seen it decrease in the last 3 months alone. And last year, it was completely different. When the chief resigned, I've seen everything start increasing, and it was just going awry. And then we got a couple good guys, they know people, they have relationships with people, they've been around, they know what to look out for, and they're starting to take care of people. And that's just the bottom line. I mean, it's been less chaos, been less people walking around, and to my knowledge, there was one that was gone last week that was looking for the catalytic converters. And it's pending, but still, point in fact being is that I've seen a lot of good starting to come the last couple of months that is a rise from our guys that are actually doing their jobs. They pull long shifts, and they're still there, and they're still here for us, and they care. They're good guys, they're genuine guys. I've seen crooked people. Law enforcement is deep in my family, between my older brother and my younger brother, and I have seen bad guys and I've seen good guys, and these are good guys. They're phenomenal. So I want to thank y'all for your service, by the way. We deeply and genuinely appreciate it.
Right here.
Come on up.
Okay, so my name is Father George Byers. I'm the pastor at Holy Redeemer here in town. I've been here about, I don't know, 8 years now, I think. And I've been the police chaplain here, International Conference of Police Chaplains, so getting trained up for all that. When I first came here, I did the Officer Down Memorial Dinner. I think Derek, I think, was there. It was wonderful, Sheriff, yes. And I think we had 7 counties of sheriffs, 2 police departments, DEA, FBI, SBI, state troopers, the forestry, and the tribal police came. We read off all the names of the officers who had fallen in the line of duty. We had taps, we had bagpipes with Amazing Grace. And we had a really good meal for all the guys. It was a really nice occasion. It's been difficult to schedule one since. I think I would like to do another one, Officer Down Memorial Dinner, reading all the names, and put on a dinner again. And I'd like to do it with these guys. So I know a couple of these guys. I was chaplain for them. Really good guys. as was said, you know, these past couple months, it's been phenomenal. They've been doing some great arrests and doing what needs to be done. And you know, after the last one was done, it was a kind of a big deal. We had a gang member in there, and things just all of a sudden went quiet. And it was really, really good to see. Although last night, I thought all hell was going to break out. And we've had a lot of the sheriff's deputies driving by. I saw that like yesterday and today, and they were assigned here, and they made a real presence. But I'm glad to see that Temple Street is maybe going to kind of be shut down there, right? That would be a big deal. I guess what I just want to say, the point of what I'm saying is the police in general around the country are really being smacked down. It's almost calls for assassination from some of our politicians around the country. These guys put their lives on the line every time they just do a simple traffic stop. Guys get out and they start shooting right at the police. It's a very dangerous thing. They're selfless. They're trying the best they can in every way. And the culture is to hate on police, to, you know, do, I guess I shouldn't get started with things, right? You know how I feel, I guess. I'm just trying to encourage that. Maybe if we could all see around the country, but also here, walk in their shoes a little bit or see things from their perspective of how they're trying to go about things, what they need with communications, with equipment, with just the space, if you will, to do their jobs. It's extremely difficult when all of society is just spitting on you. And they have held up their, I guess that's all I have to say. You know,
Thank you, Father
I'm trying
George.
to support.
Thank you.
Right, yeah.
Mike Pack. Let me get Mike first and you're next, Raymond.
Whoa.
Raymond, you'll be after him.
What I'm going to say is on you guys. You've been in office 3.5 years. We've had 5 chiefs. We've had 24 police officers. And my question is why? Is it them or is it you all? You don't know how to hire them. You don't know how to pay them. The question is, who's it on? There's something wrong here, and I don't think it's these people over here. I'm going to lay it on you, and that's all I got to say.
Appreciate your opinion. Raymond?
Mayor, Alderman,
Thomas Middle.
crowd. I'm Ray Miller. I'm relatively new, and I'm a veteran. I had retired from the government. I was a government employee as well, and combined veteran and government service 34 years. My last position was security manager at the Pentagon. I had my own office. I was a GS-13. And so this isn't about me, but what I wanted to talk about is the law enforcement and also DOD and veterans. How many here are veterans? Okay. Those who are veterans probably remember young men, as young men we were in the service, we'd sometimes make mistakes. So, and when we make mistakes, it didn't mean the end, it shouldn't be the end of our career, especially the shenanigans that I've read recently that occurred over there at the town hall / police station. There may be something too with privacy, the right of privacy, but I also believe that the cameras facing that particular room where the evidence locker was needs to be there. But as a security manager, often we had our system fail, or the card reader or the door lock wouldn't lock when they locked up at night, and they couldn't lock it up, and they called me up. And we had layers of security at the Pentagon. And with that said, we had access control, a contact switch on the door, and the system, so when they would set the alarm and set it, the motion detectors inside. If those are in place, and you have layers of security already in place, and if the audit trail, and you look back in the system, see if no one breached the room during those times, that's in question with the camera that was covered up, you can probably rest assured that you don't need to pay for an audit that, I don't know what the system's set up over there, but if you have that layer of security in place already, you don't have to pay for an audit by an independent counsel to come in, because you rest assured you have documentation that still shows no one accessed that room during that time. So it's just a suggestion to save some money so we don't have to pay for their shenanigans. Now, young men will sometimes do this stuff, and they probably felt that their right to privacy is there, and they've just taken it a little too far, and what they should have done and what they did is do different things. I hope there's a lesson learned here, but I'm not seeking them to be fired unless there's evidence of actual more wrongdoing than with the stupid stuff they've done. So I'm just pleading on their behalf, taking in consideration that young men do stupid stuff. And I guess that's it. Thank you.
Somebody else had their hand raised, I don't remember who it was.
Hello, my name's Sarah. I moved here October 2020, so I've not been here too long. I was mentioned earlier. You see, I've walked the town multiple times because I've not had access to a vehicle, and one of these kind of officers helped me in a day I was struggling very much. I just want to say that in a small town like this, it's very nice to have the positive encouragement with the law enforcement, and I've seen their work, and I just want to make a comment that knowing that they are here in town with us and watching over us, I feel very confident in the safety of my son for when he's born. And I just want to thank you guys for your service, and I thank them all the time, but I'd like to make this very public because they've helped not only me, but my neighbors, my friends, my coworkers, and they've become my family away from home. And that's all I'd like to say. Thank you.
I'd like to say something about Andrews PD. I've lived in the big cities. I've lived in all over Cherokee County to a point. Okay? Since I've moved to Andrews, all of the police officers and all the stuff, I had a meth dealer across the road. I was worried about Andrews being proud of a 2-year-old heroin addict because the children in my neighborhood could not go out to play without needles in their yards. And that's not something for a small town like this to be proud of. Our police department took care of it the right way. And they had enough compassion in the arrest to make sure a baby involved and an elderly person were not witness to their parents being handcuffed and all that. They had compassion even though the people were doing wrong, but for the people who weren't. And and that takes a lot. And they have compassion for everybody in this town. I've seen people on meth go up and hand them their drugs. They take them to the hospital so they can go to rehab instead of jail. Cherokee County Jail is not a rehab center. They're not equipped for it. These people need special help. And if they're going to help these people get better and make their lives better instead of where they are, that's what we need. Y'all don't know what you have here. You really don't. And what's a shame is after that Facebook post and everything, nobody on this board backed any of them. The town's not backing them. The town don't respond to nothing bad written about them, but they won't post nothing good written about them either. That's what I find a crying shame, because they deserve for what they actually do. They've got a community of people that want to stand behind them because they think that they want us to be the best. You know what I mean? They want our town to survive. They want us to be good. I mean, look, they're taking our schools, they're taking our businesses, they went after our rescue squad. What else does the county want? Andrew to be something left in the shambles of the forest? That's what I'm seeing. I moved here from away, but I would never live nowhere in the world because this is Andrews. And the people here are special, and they deserve to be heard. I understand what they did was stupid, but you know, I want anybody in this room to point to somebody who hasn't made a mistake.
Make them every day.
There you go. And I think that's all it was. Because, you know, they're trying to do good. I was listening to the radio one night when there was a county sheriff that was on the road of a domestic violence call at 4 in the morning. Our officer responded and they called the sheriff off the call. And he didn't know what he was walking into. That was on the radio. You know, now you see why it's a big deal. We need our police. We need protection. And all of us do. And if they want to turn this into a senior, like a Sun City Center, they're doing it all wrong.
Yeah.
Work there, live there.
Yeah. And the only thing I'd like to address is what you said, none of us backed them on Facebook. Legally, we cannot say a word about any of this right now until, because it is an ongoing investigation. That's why we're not responding to any of them. But you can go to each one of them individually and ask them what we think about them, and I think they'll tell you an honest answer.
Well, from what I've been seeing from some of the board members, not all, you know, some of you, I believe you truly want Andrews to be the best place in the world, the best town in America. You know, there you go. But others, they want this to be a mini Florida. Guess what? We ain't got beaches and all that. We're in the mountains, dude.
Thank you so much for your comment.
It's a different culture.
Thank you. Come ahead.
My name's Greg. I've lived here on and off since the day I was born. And I've lived all over this country. And out of every place I've lived, the 17 different kind of schools I've been to, Andrews has one of the kindest places I've seen, honestly. We've got some of the best police officers I've seen in my lifetime. And I'm saying that because I have seizures. And every time I've been pulled over by one of these officers right here, every time, they know it, they know they need to turn off their flasher, so I don't have a problem. And, I mean, my daughter turned a year old just as mine. And what got me is the fact that one of our officers come to my house and said happy birthday to my daughter, gave her a teddy bear. That lit her world up. It's a shame to see them going through what they're going through. And I've been going around town for the last couple of days, trying to find all the people in town that do care, that do want to see this place do better like it has been. And honestly, I've not seen a town back a police force the way this town has in 20 years of my life, which is surprising because I've lived anywhere from Tampa, Florida to Greensville, Wisconsin, I mean, up and down. And this is the one place that I find where a police force can be that backed by their people. And I know that you town alderman and you mayor do back our police force. You do care about this town in a certain way. And you have to do things in a certain way. But these police officers have done a fine job at making sure that people know they care, know that they're there for them at any point in time. And they've had to do this knowing that they've got families of their own to deal with and having that stress to go home to because of being shorthanded and not having the things they need to do their job. I honestly, couldn't thank these guys enough for the things they've done in this town. I guess that's all I've got to say, but
You said a lot. Thank you. Come ahead, Kendra.
Forgive me if I stutter, I'm a little anxious up here. I've lived here my whole life, and the whole 17 years I've lived here, I've never really felt like the police have cared about us until we got this good set of guys that we have now. And I can actually say from personal experience, they get really involved with our community, and especially with our kids, which we've never really had before. And that's good growing up in a small town, is the kids don't really have people they can look up to. But I can say every single one of these guys standing over here, I look up to them, and they're like kind of like mentors to me. And from personal experience, anytime I have ever needed anything, I could always go to one of them, and they would be there in a heartbeat to help me, or anybody here. And oh gosh, I guess it's just a little heartbreaking to see that we put them in the position that we put them in, to where one little mistake could ruin their whole career that they have spent their whole life preparing themselves for. And I honestly mean no disrespect by this, but y'all are our town leaders, and y'all can't tell me that y'all have never made a mistake. And whenever y'all have made a mistake, it's never ended y'all's careers. So ending their careers with one little mistake would be a mistake for this town, because we actually need people that care about us here. And we actually have a set of guys that do care about us and that do go out of their way to protect us. And living in this town my whole life, I've seen how downhill this town can go. And right now, our town is thriving with as much as they've dropped our crime rates. And I'm a little nervous, so I don't really know what to say. But I can't thank them enough for everything they've done for us. And I would hate to see this town go downhill because of one little mistake that they made. I guess that's it.
Yes, sir.
My name is Jared. Most of y'all on board know me. You know where I work up Sherwood Home Park. That place had a bad reputation for trouble. Once these officers come in, these four particular officers come in, they started straightening the park out. They got the worst problem in that park out of there here just a few days ago. They don't have a, now how many times in the past have you had officers that got out and done their job associated with the public to form a bond where they could get information from the public on the things that they needed to take care of their job? These officers have went above and beyond to do that. Like I said, they got the worst problem in that trailer park out there. It's documented, it's on court record, you can look at the jail, and I'm sure all y'all know who I'm talking about. But in the last 3 or 4 months, there's been a daylight and dark difference in that trailer park. Not only there, all over the town of Andrews. I can see it, I'm in and out of town all the time. I do not live in the city limits, but I do manage that trailer park because of the man that owns it passed away. It's in the state account, it is for sale. I will be there until it sells. I don't know if it's gonna sell today, tomorrow, I don't know if I'll be there any longer, but I can say I appreciate everything these boys do. Like, they went well above and beyond. They're not afraid to stop and talk to somebody if they think that somebody needs help. If you see one of them out, they won't bother, they won't hesitate to stop and talk to you if you approach them. We've not had that in Andrews in years. I was born and raised here, I've seen it over and over again. Most of the time, these cops that's in here, they go pull their shifts, and they're gone. They do the things that they need to do, and if there's major problems, yes, they will go take care of them. But these boys is out walking the streets trying to figure out where the problems is at, and they have a good enough reputation with the town that they've built in the little bit of time they've been there, that people will talk to them. And that's a plus for this town. if they're gone, you know, it's gonna go back just like it was. I appreciate the time.
Yes.
Hi guys, my name is Jessica. I have lived up here for about 2 years. I moved here from Florida. Living in a smaller city, you see problems that are quite prominent here. And as of the last 6 months is the only time that I have felt safe to leave my house at nighttime. I actually have a job working where I don't get out some nights until 10 or 11 at night. I have personally spoken to all of these gentlemen. They're amazing people. I understand mistakes. I have made my fair share. I'm a stupid kid. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. I don't think I have ever met anyone in my entire life who would come sit down, the entire staff at where I work, and talk to us when Connor died. Because they understand the issues and they understand how heartbreaking something like that can be. When I lived in Florida, there was barely any police presence. And the fact that these gentlemen make it their life to make it known that they love every single person in this town and that they want to protect us, I wouldn't want to move anywhere else. And they have my full support. I feel like everyone else's support that they have should be enough. And that's all I have to say.
I would like to address just a little bit of what Mike Pike said, and I'm gonna keep it very short. I know that we have went through a lot of chiefs in the last few years, and it's been very trying. If everybody can remember, 2 weeks before we were sworn in, we had 2 town police officers go into the high school with long arm rifles and actually wouldn't let our superintendent of school in at that time. And we've had a lot of problems, but as far as the guys we have now, I am proud of them, and I am proud of what they've done. And to hear y'all talk, it does mean a lot. Go ahead.
My name's Robbie. I grew up here. I moved back about a year ago due to loss of job and stuff. I've never been trusting of law enforcement officers. I had bad dealings with them since I was a juvenile. But when I moved back, I had a little bit of a drinking problem. And through support and stuff from our new officers, it's been about two and a half months since I touched any alcohol at all. And, I wouldn't do it without trusting with these guys. And, every time they pull me over, they just ask me, you doing good today? Their true concern for us citizens, that's where it's at. And you won't get that from anybody but from guys that are here for us. That's all I got to say.
James, right?
Yeah. I moved here 7 years ago, and not gonna lie, when high school kind of hit, I used to be a partier. Kind of really stopped it when I had a police officer, couple actually, walk up to me at work and have a one-on-one meeting with most of the people back there. As you can see, almost all of Grandpa Charlie's was here. So, if that tells you anything, that if these police officers could touch 18, 17-year-old kids' hearts and talk about personal stuff that can straighten up 17 and 18-year-old kids, honestly. And sorry, I'm nervous. I don't like talking in front of people, but
It's okay, I was shaking
I'm not gonna call him out, but he knows who he is. But him coming to the restaurant and talking to us cleaned up a lot of people's acts. And he don't know it, and he won't take the pride that he should get. but he's helped out me and Kenna quite a lot, and honestly, all of them have talked to us several times. I've been parked in the Eagles parking lot at 3 in the morning, debating on driving off a cliff, being honest. And they'll just show up and talk to us, and it's honestly like free therapy for us. These kids really need someone who is one call away, because like that night, the cops came to the restaurant to talk to us about Connor and to try to get us all to stop. And they gave us dispatch's number. They told us, even if we were drinking and driving, partying, having a good old time, call them. We'd get griped at the entire way home though, but after that, they'd let it go for us. And I've never had a set of cops care this much about the kids. Everyone's always preaching, think of the kids, think of the kids. We found cops that do, and people are turning their back on them. Not saying names, but people are turning their back on them. Now, no one in this room is perfect. I know that for sure. I know most of you by person. I'm not perfect, but these cops made a slight mistake. Simple mistake. Why not? You shouldn't turn your back on someone who makes a mistake. That's how I feel. Like, this is a prideful town, so we call us. And why has a lot of this town turned their back? That's all I have to say.
Can I say one more thing, if you don't mind?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry.
You didn't use all your 3 minutes. And you brought the most people.
Sorry.
No.
I mean, I'm not sorry, because
No.
these are phenomenal guys. I just wanna wrap it up with one thing. All of us have a job to go do. You guys sitting here, we all dress up every day. We all put our socks and shoes on when we hit the door. These guys are the same thing. The difference between these guys standing up here and the jobs that most of us have to do, that if they're not involved in law enforcement, is we know, for the most part, unless we have a heart attack or God wants us, these guys may not come home at night because of the situations that they're faced with. They leave their families every morning not knowing if they're gonna be coming home that night. But the interaction that they have with these kids and the turnaround that I've seen, my 5-year-old, it's in my family, yes, and that's part of it, but when he sees them, he calls them his superhero. Because he has that much pride for them and that much respect for them. And part of it is, yes, the raising, but the other part is the interaction that these guys have not only had with the kids at my restaurant, but also the kids around town. The death of Connor was a big impact. And I wanted these kids to know the severity, along with other kids that were around, of drinking and driving and how it's not a game. Because kids think it's okay, and they don't think about things before they do things. And these guys understand that, so they went to them and they had a serious conversation with them. And it hit them all in the heart and all at home. But I've never seen, and I've lived in big towns, I've lived in Atlanta, I've lived in Greenville, South Carolina, but I've never seen a set of guys that have been so interactive with these kids, or people just in general of the public within our community, and actually care as much as they do. They're phenomenal, and if we were to lose these guys, it would impact us, because I saw, I've only lived here since 2019, but when we lost a couple of good people, I saw the impact it had for 3 weeks to maybe a little over a month. And then slowly, one by one, they started coming in, and I started to see the turnaround. I felt comfortable leaving my restaurant at night when I walk out the door, to where previous to that, I was very sketchy. I had actually had somebody come there and sit with me at night before I left, but knowing that these guys were around and they were just a phone call away, I felt comfortable walking through my parking lot to my vehicle with them present, along with all of my kids. Because some, they're young, and people take advantage. But the biggest thing is the drug problem and the backpackers that were walking through there, the needles that were found in my parking lot and the yard next to us. These guys are making an impact, and it's quite clear and obvious from everybody that's spoken up here today. So yes, everybody makes mistakes, everybody's human. Even the president has made a mistake, and he wasn't kicked out of his career, so just take that into consideration, because these guys deserve that much.
I'm not taking time from these citizens, but I'd like an opportunity, Mayor, to speak. Chairman Alderman. My name is Doug Pearson. I'm an attorney. I am a member of the PBA. I'm here on Officer Shields. What I've heard tonight, I've been a district attorney, assistant district attorney, a defense attorney for over 20 years. I've worn a number of hats. I've dealt with a number of legal issues. What I've witnessed tonight is one of the most compelling arguments for community policing. You have no idea how lucky you are to have this diverse of a group that all speak this highly of these individuals. I would ask each of you to consider the burden that is on you to remember both the state and federal constitution. What we're talking about is procedural due process. It means don't rush to judgment. Don't assume things. Don't believe false narratives. I am sure that there could be a million different explanations, but what's important is the truth. And I would urge you to seek to find that in an appropriate venue, in an appropriate manner. One of my greatest concerns tonight is that these gentlemen make sacrifices. They work for the community, and right now, my understanding is they are on administrative leave. There's nothing that prevents them to be on paid administrative leave. And the reason I mention that is if this is a formal investigation with a private company, which I've witnessed before, it can be done quick or it can take a long time. SBI is the same way. It can be quick or it can take a long time. Ask yourself, for anybody sitting out here in the audience, what would happen if they were told they weren't going to get paid today, tomorrow, the next day, and not know when that's coming. By placing these gentlemen on a paid leave pursuant to the policy, which is acceptable, it gives them an opportunity to maintain their duty of loyalty to this community. That means they don't have to go find other work for other departments, and not return here. And one of the biggest investments this town has is the people. That's the people who work here, that's the people who live here, and the people who care about this community. I would ask if we have an opportunity to either engage in further conversation during the closed session. I'll be happy to wait and speak at length. But I think everything that has been said tonight should give you a great sense of pride of the gentlemen that are here. As everyone has pointed out, nobody's perfect, myself included. But what I hope you take from tonight is an understanding of finding the truth, the process, the due process that is afforded to these gentlemen to make sure that it is fair and it is reasonable and it is right. And to make sure that they can take care of their family and their obligations while this is pending. I think everybody in this room would love to see them continue here, and let's give them the ability and opportunity to do so. Thank you.
I've been here since '85, and these some of the best policemen we've had since I've been here. So I feel for them.
Yes, sir.
My name is Franklin McKinney. I maintain a law practice here in Cherokee County. Chief Collin. And I really just got a question, and it's for the board, but more importantly, it's for public awareness. I'd like to know what, if any, policies the board has approved or enacted or even voted on, may have gotten shot down, governing the use of cameras inside Town Hall and the police department right up here.
Basically, my knowledge of the cameras, am I allowed to answer?
Well,
I'm not allowed
my
to
question
answer.
is limited to policies that y'all have voted on. I think that's public record. Nothing to do with this investigation.
I will say the cameras were here when we came aboard. That's all I know.
So, no board member is aware of any policy that's in effect governing those cameras that could even be violated. Is that correct?
The biggest,
I would just like to say, this is a public forum for the public to make comment. This is not a question and answer session.
Do you have a policy?
The town of Andrews, once they realized that the cameras were moved, acted immediately, contacted the appropriate authorities, and are working with the appropriate authorities.
hey, we're not gonna be out of turn. If somebody's speaking, they're gonna speak. I've let everybody else speak, and you can speak again.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm done. we're working with all the proper authorities and are working towards resolving this matter.
So I think it's clear to everyone there's no policy in place.
Just a very quick comment. When you guys go into closed session, right, which I think you're gonna do, right?
Yes, sir.
For what? Could you guys just also discuss, how about we just reinstate these guys tonight?
It's our town, not, that's the bottom line. It's, Andrews is our town. It's up to the people here. Your votes count for our votes.
How did we hire the last chief that was under investigation?
I voted against that, just for the record.
I just want to say, if I could,
Go ahead, John.
I've been on this board for about 2 years now, and, you know, other than outside events that the town has held, I just want to say thank you to each and every person that has shown up here tonight and supported our department or any aspect of our town. I think it's, I just thank everybody for coming out and showing the passion that you have.
I've heard some of the most pleasant comments about our town that I've heard in 4 years.
I have, exactly. So, you know, and I think we all are here for the same thing and for the same passions, you know. I don't have to say anything about these 4 individuals. They know how I feel about them, because I tell them all the time. But, you know, we as a board want to do what's right. Most importantly, want to do what's right by these gentlemen. But regretfully, there are laws in place and things. So, you know, which I don't know. We have to go into closed session and hash those out and figure out what those are. But I just want to thank everybody for showing up tonight and showing your support.
And I think there's a couple things involved, you know. It's not us making the decision when there's a sealed judge order and the DA that has brought this down to us. It's not something we can go over in and say we overrule a judge. He did say that we can suspend them with pay. That is something within our ability, but there's certain things that's not within our ability. I mean, it sounds good on paper, and just like Penny wrote in his story, moving the cameras is not illegal. The illegal part was it being on that evidence room and not knowing the time that lapsed in between there. And that's where the problem come in. And I've said way more than I'm supposed to, and
Mary, I don't mean to disagree, because I don't think I know all the facts. I'm not even sure that any member of the board or any other person in the room knows all the facts.
That's correct.
I can tell you that before we had video cameras, I prosecuted cases with eyewitness testimony. I defended it. You don't have to have a video on anything. Mere presence or lack of a video, and this is black letter law, does not affect the admissibility. It doesn't go to chain of custody. If anything, it may go to weight, and that's just for the consideration. What's believable, and that's what we're talking about here. But any statement like that is a blanket statement, we have to be careful, because there could be a rush to judgment, there could be a false narrative in the press, in any type of public relations. What we're talking about here may not amount to a policy violation, it may not amount to a criminal act, it may not even relate to any improper conduct. Bad choices, possibly, but nothing beyond that. And so a rush to judgment for any of this is concerning, because I can tell you, if a judge signed an order, it's sealed for a reason. But that does not affect their ability to be paid or to have other interaction within the community. And I would hope that until everything's unsealed, everything's discovered, just like the town attorney said, we need to make sure we follow the protocols and give things time. But let's not punish people who've done a good job just by rushing to a judgment or what someone thinks the law is or what it should be. And I don't mean any disrespect, but I appreciate you allowing me a few more extra minutes to add that.
You've already talked.
This is not for y'all. I have a question for Mr. Palmer.
I don't think he's taking questions. This is just public forum if you
Well,
want to.
it's due to the public safety. Since the sheriff's department is filling in deputies, how quick are the response times gonna be for officers to get to domestic violences and stuff like that right now while we don't have the best police department we've ever had?
There's no way of answering that question, depends on the circumstances and what's going on.
That's right.
Yes.
You know, just to say the evidence room, I know Claudia, right? And she has worked for the police department for, what, 14, 16 years, I forget. She got certified to keep charge of the evidence room. She had the only key. She got certified in Asheville, I think. She did her studies and all that. We didn't have cameras all these years, and there was another way. You have somebody in charge of the evidence room. Officers can't just go in there and do stuff. They have somebody to sign in, sign out, do the inventory. They have the only key. And maybe that's a way to do things.
If you haven't spoken already, and you would like to, Jenny, you haven't spoken, go right ahead.
Do I have to go?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I just want to say that I've had a business here for 20 years, and I've came to town meetings a lot. What I've heard tonight warms my heart. Respect is for those who deserve it, and obviously, they deserve it, just by the comments that have been made here tonight. All of us make mistakes. All of you, with the exception of Holly, have made mistakes. I won't point at her because she's a lawyer, but all of us have made mistakes. And they don't demand respect. They earned it. And I think you all better really take that to heart and to your mind. It's not a matter of fortune telling, mind reading, or anything. It's simply respect.
Anybody else that hasn't spoken before we go into closed session? And Jenny, where's your dog?
She doesn't like yelling and screaming, so I didn't.
And she likes you?
I'd be very happy.
And she likes you?
She loves me.
Okay, entertain a motion to go in closed session. Oh,
Can I say something real quick?
yes, sure.
I'm part of the Grandpa Charlie's crew. I just want to say that these 4 individual officers right here, they come in and eat with us all the time. They take the time to get to know every single server and worker in that restaurant. All of these guys can tell you the name of all 3 of my children. Do you know any other officers that take the time to learn about your family?
Cole's denying that, he don't have.
Oh, no, I guarantee it. But I've never, in my 23 years of life, had an officer try to get to know me personally and my kids to make us safe. They care about every single person in this room. They worry about every single person in this room. They deserve our respect, honestly. And this little bitty tiny mistake that they made, like, why are we even trying to judge them for it? It's one little mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. I've made my fair share. I know everybody in this room has. Every lawyer, every attorney, no offense. The mayor, the aldermen, everybody has. So why are we?
You can put an explanation point after the mayor.
Yeah, Mayor Reed, but
Yeah.
everybody makes their fair share. And I
Just
don't think-
numbers, not explanation.
I don't think that we should hold them to such a higher level of responsibility as everybody's saying. Like, it's one tiny mistake.
I disagree with you on that. They are held to
They
a higher
are,
standard.
but-
And they will always be held to
And
a
they
higher
will,
standard. And I
because
think
they're
they're
law enforcement.
outstanding young men.
And they are. They have worked very hard in the past 3 to 4 months.
No.
I let my kids go to the park now. Like, ever since they have started cleaning up our town, I wouldn't let my kids go to the park. I don't allow my children to play outside until these 4 have worked their butts off
to make it safe for our children. I guess that's all I have to say.
Entertain a motion to go into closed session unless somebody screams. You've talked 4 times. That's enough, Father.
I make a motion, we go into closed session.
We have a motion to go in closed session. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
5-minute recess. We'll come back at 7:15.